3 first-half minutes made it 2-0 with 2 brilliant counter-attacks. Houghton made it 3-0 early in the second half. Cherki pulled one back, but within 2 minutes, Rodri had been booked twice and been sent off. And with 10 men, the Blues could not find another goal. Bodo Glimt hit the bar, Donnarumma made at least 3 saves, and they had 2 goals disallowed for offside. All in all, it has been a thoroughly forgetful night in Norway. And considering it came off the back of the disappointing derby game as well, the Blues have to put everything right in the next few days. The final score here in Norway, incredibly really, Bodo Glimt 3, City 1. Well, let's go back to the studio and let's see if we can hear some positives from Steph and from Nedum and from Natalie.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. So City have been beaten in Norway 3-1, match day 7 in the Champions League. 1 game left to go next week against Galatasaray. We are going to need a win, and we are going to need some other teams around us to drop points. Otherwise, we will be landing back in those dreaded Champions League playoff spots. Still joined by Steph and Nedum in the studio. Steph, what went wrong?
I'm trying to be, like what Ali just said there, try and be positive. But I think when I look at the game as a whole, we just weren't at our level. And I think that's from the first minute to the last minute. Even with Rodri getting sent off, I think we made life really difficult for ourselves. And sometimes when you play these games and you're expected to win, I think it is more about doing the basics really, really well. And we mentioned a few times before the game, during the game, it's about when we're defending, it's about them first and second balls, earning the right to play the way that we do. And I don't think we did that enough all over the pitch today, and I think at this moment in time, every time we make an individual error or a mistake as a team, we're getting punished, and this is what happens in Champions League football. And I think a very disappointing night overall, to be honest.
Nedum, a week ago we played Newcastle at St James's Park. It was a brilliant game. I thought in the second half we were great. We got the victory there at St James's Park. I'm thinking we're on a high. We're starting the momentum again, and then we've just had 2 stinkers in a row. Yeah. Can you put your finger on it?
No, I think that's an understatement, to be honest. Especially the emotional one with the derby game on the weekend, because as Man City fans, that will always be a big game for us, especially going to Old Trafford. And then today, I think you saw the challenge in terms of playing against a side who play on the artificial pitch, who will be ready for this game. They've had this game, they've had a ring around it for the longest time. But as Steph was saying, it's basics. The last 2 games, it's been about basics and not doing them well. Every goal I think they've conceded in this time, including goals that have been disallowed, you can see where something functionally is going wrong. Add into that the fact that City haven't created that many chances either. So I think it's in some ways shows the fragility of form and stuff when it comes down to football, and how each challenge is essentially different. Going to St James's Park, going to Old Trafford, going to Bodo, it's 3 different types of games, but you need to be 100% up for every single one of these. And if you find yourself, say, lacking momentum, and you've got whether it's 70,000 people on Saturday or say 20,000 people today, going against you, and the players are really up for it, you have to be able to match them. And I think in those last 2 games, it doesn't feel to me like they have matched them. Some of it will come down to tiredness, I'm sure. But I think there are players who individually aren't performing to their best, and the mistakes that are being made are being punished right now. And it's a reminder that, for this last period of the season, you can't make mistakes and expect to get away with it, whether that's in attack, missing chances, or in defence, making mistakes as well.
Yeah, it's so true. And I don't know, often I feel like when City get beat, I like to play again really quickly. I like to sort of try and shake that off quickly. But because Saturday was so emotional, it was so bad, it's just been a couple of days or 3 nights. 2 nights and they were travelling again. Has it come too quick, or is it?
I think this game in itself, I don't know if you'd agree, Steph, it's a bit trickier just because, we've seen, Antoine Semenyo come in and do really, really well. We've seen the likes of Bernardo Silva, the captain, be involved in games of football. We've got the spark of a new signing in Mark Gay coming in. Yeah. But none of that was ever going to be on the table for this game. And in some ways, maybe someone like an Antoine, there's no guarantee would have started this game as such, but I bet he would have had an influence if he would have played in it in some sort of manner. But then again, if the energy was the same as it was for the majority of that game, maybe they do end up losing. But as I say, it's a good chance now to go into the weekend and allow, Mark to get a chance to see the City fans for them to celebrate his arrival and to almost like say, come on, this is a big game. It'll be a tough game against the Wolves side who found some level of form. And like I say, every game essentially is different. Different personnel will be coming in on the weekend. But the last 2 games, the atmosphere in the dressing room on Saturday would have been really low after that game. And I don't think it's going to be much better now because they're going to hear thousands of Norwegians outside having the time of their lives.
Yeah, and the thing about playing Champions League away is that it's not exactly you can go straight back to your own house and kind of try and put it to bed and try to like think about how you've performed, what's been happening the last few days. It's about whatever the travel arrangements are in terms of coming straight back tonight or tomorrow. You've got to try and get it out your system. And I think we said before the game, we are experienced at that, and I'm sure this Wolves game will present a new challenge. But also, I think we do need the likes of Marquis and Semenyo, that new kind of fresh blood coming into the team that have not really experienced the pressure at this level, especially from what we bring as a club. And also, you're missing the skipper tonight, Bernardo Silva, I think, in terms of the talisman, the one that gets everybody going, and you're missing the likes of Nunes. So we have had injuries and we've had players that couldn't play tonight. But I think overall, I think whoever steps into that starting 11, I think we need to perform better, and I think that just shows when you're at this level, you do get punished.
You mentioned, obviously, Nunes there had been out today, was out at the weekend as well, apparently with flu. We hope that he'll be back for the weekend. Oh, by the way, they do travel back tonight, I heard, as well. So tonight we had Rayan Cherki going into the right-back position. We had Nico O'Reilly left-back. We'd thought that Nico O'Reilly was going to go into midfield, but he didn't. What did you make of Cherki at right-back? It feels like he might be somebody that is picked out from today.
He could be, but I don't think he was that bad, to be honest, in the grand scheme of things. I think, obviously, with him wanting to come inside more often and go down the line, it kind of affects the balance of things, because Nico on the other side was more so sort of like hugging the touchline, but I don't think that was necessarily the cause of all of City's problems, to be honest. And, you know, he did the best that he could, and I think with the manager, his assistants, they had a vision for Rayan on that side. And for Rayan, as I say, it's not ideal, but he's a very good attacking threat, and I thought defensively he did fine as well, to be honest. So, yeah, we'll try and make a thing of that, but it wasn't that, because, as I say, you look at this game, and, you know, we don't necessarily want to, like, talk about it too much, but one of the most experienced players we have in Rodri received 2 yellow cards in the space of, like, 2-3 minutes as well. I think if you want to find a way to describe how weird a day it was, is somebody who's got that level of status, you know, in a Champions League game, unfortunately, making those mistakes. It's like he was
really trying too hard, and sometimes that's the worst thing you can do as a player. Like, we know that he's not at that form was what we've seen him in that Ballon d'Or season, and we have to be realistic. Like, he's been out for a very long time. You're coming in, you're playing 90 minutes, and sometimes it takes it even longer to get back to that form. But I think because he's probably wearing the armband, he was pressing ridiculous in the first half, trying to make things happen, and sometimes you just have to go back to doing your job and what functions for the team. And I think Nedum's right. We might mention about Cherki, you might mention about Phil Foden being on the left wing, but actually as a team we just didn't function in the way that we used to seeing them.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to miss Rodri for the game against Galatasaray next week now as well. Right, we're going to go back over now, and we are going to hear the thoughts of FG and Shells, who are pitchside.
Wow, what a result for the home side. It finishes 3-1 to Bodo. You can see our players have just gone over to our amazing supporters and they've clapped them, and the fans, as always, supporting the team. It's a difficult result to take, but it's one that City will bounce back from.
Of course they'll bounce back from. You know, it's a long season, both in the Champions League and the Premier League. It's one loss, of course, and a disappointing result for them. And they'll be disappointed not to bring home a result back home, but still a second half of the season to play and a lot to play for still.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots to play for. One more game against Galatasaray, but of course straight on to Wolves on Saturday. I mean, this group of players, when they've had so much success over the years, when they face a defeat like this, you expect them to bounce back.
Yeah, of course. I mean, experiencing a defeat like this is not nice to sell at home, and of course a couple of bad results previously as well. The boys haven't really been in a situation like this before, but they've got the tools to bounce back and try and redeem themselves. It's still a second half season to play, like I said before, and I'm sure Pep will try and motivate them, but I think they'll motivate themselves to try. They want to bounce back themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, there's a lot of football still to play. A very disappointing result, but congratulations to Bodo. And the third goal was probably a great reflection of how hard they worked, because that finish was fantastic, wasn't it?
That finish was sensational. It kind of made me a bit speechless, to be honest. But you can see their counter-attack, their link-up play. They was playing together. They knew exactly where it was going to be in every attacking phase. So you can see they was working hard in training ground, and they really wanted to get a result today, and they did.
Yeah, congratulations to Bodo. Our trip unfortunately ends with defeat, but we head straight on to Saturday, where we will face Wolves in the Premier League. See you soon.
See you soon, FG and Shells. Thank you. Travel safe home, and to all the Manchester City fans that travelled all the way there, do please get home safely. So before we move on and look to the Wolves game on Saturday, just a thought about, obviously we've got Galatasaray next Wednesday. That's at home. That is the last game. So that's match week 8. Everybody kicks off at exactly the same time. This is how the table stands as it is, but obviously we were the earlier kickoff. You can see us there on 7. So you've got Atalanta, Inter, Real Madrid, Atleti, Liverpool, Dortmund and Spurs. And then I'm not going to go to goal difference quite yet. Well, on goal difference, even a win for Newcastle, looking at that, would Tottenham, Chelsea.
I think the thing to realise is,
Barca. Come on, Nedum, jump in here.
You can feel anxious about it, and in some ways that's right. In some ways, but all those teams behind City aren't going to be winning 2 games, because a lot of them are playing against each other. I think that's something to remember. Like, we see the anxiety behind it, but you also don't know who they're playing. I think by the end of the match day tomorrow, you'll know exactly what's going on, and then you'll have more of a clear picture in your mind of what your team needs to do to finish in the top 8. I think City next week, obviously they'll go for the win, and I believe that they will win. But for all we know, it might require 1 more point to get into that top 8. They've worked hard to be in that position. Nobody around them is perfect. Like, for example, Inter are going to be playing against Arsenal, I think either today or tomorrow. Like, if, say, for example, Inter win that, then Arsenal, they're struggling themselves. But I'm not a worrier. I think City will be completely fine.
Bodo will go to Atleti next week. Bodo, if they beat Atleti in Madrid, then they could jump into the playoffs. So, yes, all right, Nedum, I'll take that. I appreciate that, because I'm an overthinker and I've started going,
well, if you're an
oh
overthinker,
my God, we're going to...
You'd need to know all the fixtures to be a true overthinker. So maybe you're just anxious.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll be studying that when I get home.
Is it because of last season?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
We are in a better position than we were last season. I think we are a little bit more in control than where we finished last year.
Absolutely.
I think in terms of results, I think obviously tonight is really disappointing, and probably that Bayern Leverkusen game at home, I think we could have maybe wrapped up being in that top 8 by then, but this is what we do the job for, is just to be able to see. It's a little bit of excitement, and this is what the Champions League group phase is supposed to be like. It's just that what happens next, I think we will know more tomorrow.
Absolutely. But we have another game before, of course, that game against Galatasaray next week. We are back in the Premier League on Saturday. It's a Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff, which is always glorious. We are taking on Wolves, perhaps at a time when it is not ideal to be playing Wolves, who are having a little resurgence themselves under new management. On Saturday, we'll play at 3 p.m. So that is before Arsenal and before Villa. Arsenal play United at home. Villa are away to Newcastle. So 2 tough fixtures there for them as well. In terms of Wolves, though, Nedum, you mentioned them a little bit a few minutes ago. I mean, they're picking up a bit of momentum out. Perhaps people already had written them off, but they're getting a couple of points.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I think they're unbeaten in maybe 4 games, possibly 5. But, let's not overreact to it as such. They're currently still below the lowest amount of points that's ever been made in the Premier League. I think it's 11 points with Derby County, maybe 15, 16 years ago, however long it was. So they're rounding into form, and they're now proving to be more sort of robust and harder to play against. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're a side that has aspirations to win a Premier League title, then playing against Wolves at home should be something that you look forward to the challenge. Yes, they'll play Wolves with more confidence than, say, we would have done maybe a month ago. But for City, what I like about these players, I know today's been a down day again, but there's a sense of personal pride that comes from these people who are so successful, and negative, they always want to meet with a positive for the next game and to find that level of form, because they know that, say, for example, after the league game on Saturday against United, you watched Arsenal drop points, you saw Villa drop points. Here's another chance for you. Here's another opportunity. And to be able to do it in front of your fans who will be desperate for you to sort of break the run as well. Again, maybe I'm naive, but I've got every confidence in the world.
And, I mean, you are as well off on our Matchday Live on Tour second show tomorrow as well. And you're going with Scott Carson and Kel to Shenzhen.
Yes, indeed. Very much looking forward to it. No people, I'm not fleeing football, not fleeing the game, because we'll be having, let's say, the Matchday Live from there. It'd be good to be out there with Scott, talk to him about City life and, you know, us being under 21s together, what feels like 1,000 years ago. But yeah, good times ahead.
I cannot wait to watch that. So Kel will be presenting from Shenzhen with Nedum and with Scott Carson, and FG and Jolien Lescott will be in the Etihad Stadium as well. So it's our second leg of our Matchday Live on tour. Hope you have the best time.
Well, trust me, I will.
I can imagine, yeah, you and Scott. Just a quick word for you, Steph, just before we go in terms of the team that we'll be putting out on Saturday. I presume you're expecting to see Mark Gahey, Anton Semenyo, Bernardo Silva, Mateus Nunes. Does that immediately make you feel a bit better?
Yeah, of course, because you speak about them players, and even though Semenyo's only been here for 2-3 games, I think he's shown what we paid the money for in terms of his quality, his output, his scoring. But also Bernardo experience. Nunes, I think if we would have said Nunes being our first choice right back last season, probably people would have had a bit of a question mark, but I think we have missed him these last few games. So even just in terms of his energy and his physical presence, I think he gives us something a bit different. So I think it's good to have them bodies back in terms of probably not even just freshness, but even mentally a little bit fresh. They've had probably a little bit of a break today, yesterday, and not travelled. So I think it's so important that you get your key players back, and they definitely are.
Cannot wait to see Mark Gahey in a City shirt on the pitch at the Etihad Stadium. That's enough to give me a little smile after tonight. Thank you, Steph, and thank you so much, Nedum, as well. There is another game currently taking place as well. Once you've finished watching us, get yourself onto the app and you can watch the under-21s who are in action in the Premier League International Cup. It's just gone half-time and the lads are currently losing 2-0. This was the opening Monaco goal. They do have 45 minutes left, of course. Come on, someone's got to bring some positivity tonight. I believe in them. So that is taking place right now on City, plus you can watch the second half over on there. Travel safely tomorrow, have the most amazing time, and we'll look forward to seeing you very soon, I hope as well, Steph. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Matchday Live tonight. Not the way we hoped it would go today, but we're going to take Nedum's positivity. We're not going to overthink. We're not going to be anxious, and we're going to think that we can do it next week and still miss these playoffs. We'll see you all on Saturday. Matchday Live on tour will be coming from Shenzhen, of course, with FG and Jolien Lescott in the Etihad Stadium. We look forward to seeing you then.